Hey, what's up, everybody? It is me, Danny Martinez, and the homie Roy, Apex Remy. It's been a long.
Imperious Rex.
Honestly, it's funny. As I was getting ready for this show, Roy, I thought to myself, I'm like, I'm not even sure we've had a show since we found out Lauren was pregnant. So like, I'm not even
No.
sure. So yeah, like that's happened. I think she's 4 months in. So like,
Yeah, man.
it's probably been 4 months since we've done a show now. Damn, time flies. Time
Yeah,
flies.
I actually get memories now from when we started, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, bro, it's double sad now.
Yep. Yep. So I was like,
But
I'm
I
like,
mean,
all right.
life is busy. There's babies, there's storms, there's
Yeah.
kid. God knows I'm crawling with kids. You know what I mean? So I got bad over here.
Yeah, we've had two hurricanes in the last like I guess 4 weeks now. It was 3 weeks last week. So like that was fun and everything like that.
Yeah,
But yeah, man,
yeah.
it's been busy. And what have you been up to?
Not much, man. As per usual, stay at home dad is what I do. My life stays nice and mellow and boring, and that's the way I like it. In China, they say, may you live in interesting times, and it's a curse, because it is. I'm serious. And if you're bored, then everything must be okay. And so I try to stay bored as often as humanly possible, and I succeed. So I stay home. I'm with my family. I'm here for my kids. I support my wife. During the storms, I had a kid here with me, and I had a kid in Sarasota, and so I have people in both places, and so it's all nerve wracking. But fortunately, for the most part, everyone that I know is mostly well, and damage can be replaced. So, but I'm good. Everything's standard. I wish I hadn't put all of my comic books 13 feet high. I'm never taking those things down. I just quit collecting comics now, I guess. So I'm looking over at them. So people who don't know, like I have one of those like ledges that surrounds my dining room and my kitchen, so that you can put like nice collectibles up there and whatever. And it's been barren for the 2 years I live here. It's just rent, and now I'm in fear of the water, and no one's home. I have no ladder. It's just me and this like 800-pound like solid wood dining table that I'm dragging across the floorboards and putting 6 boxes at a time, and then hopping up onto. I feel like I'm doing military presses. I'm up and up and up, and now every single box of comics that I own and my statues are all like 13 feet in the air, and like I'm like 5'4" on a good day, and I don't know, man. It's just sitting up there for a minute, I think.
Right?
But so I'm good.
It's like a vaulted ceiling kind of type of thing that you have over there where you're able to.
It's like got a really huge peaked roof for some strange reason. Like I said, we rent, so buyer beware on that one. But it's a neat shelf, and I like it. I don't have a ladder. I'm a short guy, so that thing has been completely empty except for my guardian owl, which is a long story. But other than that, I haven't had anything up there, and I couldn't figure out what to do with my comics. And then I was in a real trick bag because I'm like, well, if I leave them on the ground and we flood, then I lose my books. And if I put them up against the ceiling and the roof gets ripped off, then I lose my books. And I'm like, man, I don't know. I guess I'm gonna put them up high, and if Jesus wants them, he can come take them personally.
It's yeah,
But we
dude.
got through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude,
But
yeah.
so you're the one that's got all the exciting news. You got the babies. You got. I mean, I'm gonna let you tell it, but you got all kinds of stuff going on. I'm more interested in hearing about you.
So yeah, Lauren, my wife Lauren is pregnant. Um, so she's 4 months along. We're doing March. So that's been God, 4 months. Again, that's crazy. It's been 4 months because that
So
means
yeah,
we found out literally and like it was bad and good timing in the sense that we found out literally a week after I left Blackbird, which in retrospect, if we would have known before, I probably wouldn't have left just because Blackbird gave me an environment where it was real easy for me to do things like with Lauren. Obviously, took on more responsibility at the new job, and then it became harder to go to doctor's appointments, things like that. So it was a blessing and a curse, but everything happens for a reason, right? Because then what happened
yeah,
was, um, obviously, Lauren's got a lot of appointments. It's what happens when you're pregnant. It's what happens
yeah,
when you're pregnant in your 30s. You get a lot of appointments. So it was time for to be honest. It felt like I needed to go work part time, like which was like all right. And then I was like, but I'm not somebody who can sit on my hand, just wait for her to have an appointment, the other 2 days a week. So we already had slowly started working on having our own shop open. talks, meetings, things like that. But the timing never felt right. And then I think one day I just kind of had the idea is like, well, if I'm already going to be doing a little like part-time work that's not for my own business, why not
Yeah.
fill the rest of the time with something that is for us? So a good friend of ours, Joel Rodriguez from Metal Ninja Studios, created the logo, which you guys see up top right. My wife came up with the name Flashpoint Comics and Games. We actually were very surprised to see DC no longer holds the copyright on that. They let that lapse. Not that
Well,
they're
I mean, that's one of those things where like I love you to death, and I just haven't said anything. But I've been so that's been on my mind since the moment you said it. I was like, bro, you're gonna get a cease and
so.
desist on that.
So here's the thing, right? Like, obviously they let the copyright lapse, but like we were not crazy enough is the word I'd use. Maybe some people would say ballsy. I'm not crazy
Ballsy.
enough to have the logo be red and yellow. Like, you know what I'm saying? We're not
No.
tempting fate. Like, they're actually because Joel. I'll give you guys. Also, I want to give a shout out to Joel and Metal Ninja Studios because they are, other than publishing comics, they are like a graphic design asset company. And dude, he probably gave me 20 different versions of the logo before we settled on what we settled on. He gave me about 10, 15 color schemes before we settled on what we settled out. And the red and yellow was dope, but I knew immediately we couldn't use it. Like I'm like, we gotta move away from that. He gave me a green and yellow, which I don't think he knew, but because I'm a USF fan, I'm like, ooh, all right, that's tempting. Lauren
Yeah.
kibosh on green and yellow real quick. So then we thought red and blue worked real good because obviously like American colors, I guess, you know what I'm saying? Like, but
Sure.
also Superman, Spider-Man, like there's a lot of recognizable superheroes
Absolutely.
that red and blue is Captain America, right? Like
Yeah.
so we figured that worked. So shout out to Joel Moan Ninja Studios. So we did launch the store. I it's weird to explain it in the sense that like we by layman's terms, we don't have a brick and mortar in the sense that like there is not a store inside a strip mall or plaza in which it's heavily advertised and you can walk in. What we have right now is Lauren's dad owns a bakery supply goods store off of Colonial, right across the street from the Fashion Square Mall. The it is a office park, so it is
Right.
all like offices and
Mhm.
stores. The thing is, because he is a big company, he has essentially the whole office park. He uses half of it as a warehouse. We're very familiar with how that worked, right, Roy? Like where
Absolutely.
empty unit, but you use it as a warehouse. You keep the AC on,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
He has so much of that space that the landlord won't
Nice.
take back. Like he's like, if you want it, you're taking it all. Like like there is no.
Yeah.
So he's given me what was clearly a doctor's office once. It actually,
Okay.
while it is clearly not a comic book store, it works for what we need because
Yeah.
it has the check-in counter, which like where you would have checked in with a nurse or whatever. So like that'll be
Sure.
our register area, and then it has what would have been the waiting area, which we'll put racks on for new comics and like a couple back issue boxes. And then we'll
Right.
have sub boxes, and like it will be my warehouse as well because Lauren does not want all of our inventory sitting in the house.
Yeah, sure. But what does it matter? I like it, dude. It's 2024. Like you don't have to do it that way. So you could do
Yeah,
it and change a few things around. I like the idea of molding it to make it something that works for you, as opposed to accepting what you know is going to be a struggle and doesn't work for you and hoping for the best. So I think
exactly.
that's a good way to attack it.
Yeah, that's our thought process. Like, so you will be people will be able. We are on Pullbox already. I actually I have the QR code. I know some people might be watching this on their phone, but we are officially on Pullbox. So that's like one of the easier ways how somebody can open a sub with us. Scan that QR code, look up Flashpoint Comics and Games on Pullbox. I'll approve you on the back end. We already have a couple subscribers. And then in terms of
Sweet.
yeah, and then in terms of because obviously it's like it's an interesting place where the store is. So like I'm not there for 8 hours, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. The
Sure.
plan is to be there 8 hour, have about a I might say 6 to 8 hour window on Monday and Tuesday because naturally the shipments are coming in. I gotta start
Yeah.
building polls. So I'm gonna be there. Wednesday, I plan on being there for about an 8 hour day, like treat it like new comic book day. And then Thursday and Friday, if you need to come by and pick up your books, we just ask that you set up an appointment because I literally work in the building right next door. So I will
Yeah,
happily clock out, walk back over to the building, get you your books. We can chat. There's no rush. I mean, my boss is my father-in-law, and while some people that's probably not a good thing, it works out for us in this scenario in the sense that like
sure.
a lot of leeway because it's his son-in-law and daughter's business, you know. So like he wants us
Yeah, it behooves him to invest in it, and if not financial, it's not all about financial investment. Giving someone the time, like you
exactly.
said, clock out, go over there and BS with someone, dude. That is worth more
Yep,
than a couple extra bucks. You know what I
yep,
mean? Like,
yep,
I
yep.
think I like that. I like hearing it.
It was real cool because like literally I already ran, and granted we've only been open for like 3 weeks, but I already ran into the situation where we were doing an interview. I had an
I
interview
don't know where your
scheduled
bull is.
with a creator, and homeboy was like, "Yeah, the time works for me." It's like 11 a.m. I'm like, all right. So I told him, I said, "Hey, I got to clock out, go into the warehouse, use the Wi-Fi, and do an interview." And when that interview drops, that's with the writer of Blue Beetle, Julio Anta, writer of Blue Beetle.
Sweet.
This land is our land. It was actually a real cool interview because he's a Cuban American, Cuban Colombian American. So
Okay.
he knows like immigrate like he it was a real cool talk, and like I have the book. I haven't gotten a chance to read it yet, but I literally do that interview like rather than the background being all this cool stuff, you just see boxes because I'm in the warehouse. Like so,
Hey, man.
what makes it what works though, right? Like it's what works.
Yeah, no, I love it, dude. Like I said, as we've been talking about it, in text and everything, and you're like, oh yeah, check it out. You can do, get subs and everything. Just, it's so real. You know what I mean? And I'm like, look at my guy go, dude. And I'm so proud. I think it's awesome. I
Thanks,
love what
dude.
you got going
Thanks,
on, man.
dude. And like honestly, since you're here, and like I know our homie Nick is at New York Comic Con, he's probably in the middle of. He's probably standing in a line right now. Um, but I honestly have to say thank you. And like, there's so many people because obviously, like you guys, anybody who's known me from the comic book stuff in the last, I don't know, at least 2 years, has seen the sidewalk sales, MegaCon, you and Nick, and people like Carrie, Carrie Williams, Carrie Darnell, like people like that have.
Yeah, man.
Carrie made our shirts. We made a small run of
Yep.
shirts for the Melbourne Comic Con. Like people like that made this a easier, right? But
Sure.
B, I met all of you people, including Nick, including Nick. I met all of you people through the comic book store. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? And it's like to me, like outside of being in school, and I don't know if this is a being an introvert thing or this is like life in general, but outside of being in like high school, the small time I went to college, it's hard to make friends as a kid and as an adult. So like to see that I was able to make tons of friends working in this store retail store, like let's call it what it is, right? Like it's amazing to us, but to most people it's just a retail store. And like to be able to have made this many friendships, like dude, it makes me know that this is what I want to do. Like
For
10
sure.
years ago I wanted to be a journalist, and I knew I wanted to be a journalist, and there's a lot of reasons that didn't work out, and I don't regret anything, but like I have that feeling again, and it's like amazing, especially in your 30s as opposed to your 20s.
Sure, absolutely. No, it's awesome. And it's like it's effortless for you. The reason why you're enjoying it so much is because you're good at it, and you're good at it because you're not you don't have to put on any kind of face. You know what I mean? Like that's who you are. You just operate as Danny throughout your day, and that brings people in. I've always said that about you. It's that genuine feeling and the honesty that comes from you, and it's extremely attractive. And so it pulls people in, dude. It's awesome, and it's always fun to just orbit around you and watch it happen. Like it's so much. I would, if you'd have ever told me I'd have so much fun not being the star of the show, I'd have told you you were crazy. But you get a little older, you get a little wiser, and like I said, to follow you through con and watch you interact with all these people, it's always just amazing. Like I love it. It's a great time. And so if you just keep being true to yourself, you will continue to achieve goals. Like I guarantee you that. So that's all you, man. You say we helped. And sure, publicity is a good thing, but like you did it all yourself just by being yourself, and that's more courage than most people have. So congratulations to you,
Thanks,
father to be.
thanks, dude. Yeah, I was gonna say it's like a lot, and it's funny because like I'm not like, are there stresses? For sure, right? But I'm not, like, scared. Like, first of all, everybody tells you, like, when you're about to become a parent, you're scared, and that might come in 3 months, you know what I'm saying? But, like,
Yeah,
right now, I told my wife this the other day, I'm like, "I feel like I'm hitting a stride," right? Like, everything is kinda in the place it needs. I'm not one of those people that's like, everything happens for a reason, but there's
sure.
definitely things that happen for a reason, like the door opens, another one or door closes, another one opens type of thing. Like,
Yeah,
that is seeming more and more true as I get older, you know, a little bit. Not every time, right? And sometimes it takes a really long time in between doors, right? Like,
sure.
but I feel like we're in like the right place, and I'm really excited. And like the other thing, and this is like not having a conventional store, I'll admit, bummed me out for a second because I don't have the
Yeah,
communal space, right? Like, it's gonna be real hard for 4 of y'all to be like, "Hey, we're all gonna show up there at the same time and hang out." Like, it's not quite there yet. But what is really cool is I've just and honestly, I have to give credit to my wife because I feel like she helped me start thinking outside the box a little more.
does it have a
Um
flat roof?
Yeah.
Just thinking, like you got my head, my wheels turning. So sorry for the interruption there, but if it's got a flat roof, you got a meeting spot. I'm just saying.
I mean, you're right, you're right, and it's like and like having it like it'd be one thing because originally my idea was to just get a warehouse in general, like so like a warehouse
Sure.
store, right? And that would have been a little different in the sense that like I would have had to furnish it, yada yada yada. What's amazing about I guess sharing this space with my father-in-law is like so his the store he owns has been there for 65 years, that location.
Wow.
He's owned it for 15. So in
Okay.
his 15 years, he's done renovations, everything like that.
Sure.
So he has like sale racks, chairs, computers, printers. I mean, everything you need to run a business over the last 15 years. And some things maybe I don't want to call them outdated, but better things came out, and his business is successful enough that he has been able to upgrade. But he doesn't throw
Sure.
them away because they're not broken. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, dude,
Yeah.
like I was stressing because I'm like, we have to buy a computer because we got to be able to run the POS once people like actually come in, you know? And it's like, oh yeah, I got 3 computers over there, and I think there's 2 monitors over there. It's like awesome. I'll just wipe the drives. I now have I don't need it to play games. You know what I'm saying? It's a POS. So like I have that. He's got racks already. Like I'll test how good they might be for like new comics, but he's already got racks in that waiting room. So it's like
That's
it's
what's up.
kind of great. And like he's got chairs, you know what I'm saying? Like all this stuff that like I could put out and make a vibe without having to
Yeah.
spend a ton of money. And eventually we will need to spend that money when we get the like brick and mortar, but like
Yeah. It'll grow.
it's kind of cool. And the other thing, like while having that space is super awesome, what I have really been excited about, and I've already planned two. Like the year is we only got like 2.5 months in the year, and I've already planned 2 events of our own, not including where we're tabling because we're going to table at Rise of the Phoenix, which is out by
Okay.
you. That's December
Yep.
7th. And then we did get a table at Lake County Comic Con, which is the day after our gender reveal, November 17th. So like we're gonna stay busy just because I want to, right? Like I have free time.
Yeah.
So the first thing I did, and I'm not gonna lie, this was
Enjoy it while it lasts.
exactly right. Like it's only gonna get crazier. But this one was serendipitous in the sense that when we had the logo finally and everything, I told my wife, I'm like, yo, like we're 40 days away from Halloween. And I'm like, other than free comic book day, to me, naturally, the easiest and best comic book event you can run is a Halloween one. Like it's
Sure.
just natural, right? Kids are already in costume, which in theory is cosplay. Like adults cosplay year round. So now we give everybody a reason to get
I
dressed, right?
I cosplay as an adult all year
Yeah,
round.
yeah, yeah. So it's like, dude, like you can come out in your best cosplay. Your kids can come out in a costume. Obviously, there are the free comics from Halloween Comic Fest, and we were able to get those in time. So I have them in the garage. And then, but the thing was, trying to schedule an event where you have to rent a space 40 days before the date is difficult, in especially close to a holiday that is like, I guess I hesitate to call it national, but a lot of people celebrate it because
Yes.
I probably made 50 phone calls and emails about renting a space, and I got 50 no's because everybody was already
Aw.
so yeah,
Already
right,
booked.
and again, like, it was I tried not to get discouraged, but it sucked because I knew how good of an event we could put together. And then I
Yeah.
literally was telling my wife yesterday, I said, I was going for a drive because I think it was right before the first hurricane, so 3 weeks ago. Uh,
Hmm.
and we needed to get some stuff from Publix, but our Publix was ransacked. So I decided
Yeah.
I was already kind of like Winter Park side of town, and I decided to nostalgia drive around like my old like where I went to the Publix I used to go to like
Sure.
like
I've been
remember
known to do things like that.
yeah remember your roots in a way. And I passed by the Winter Park American Legion, so it's a different number than the one we're at. But I
Yeah.
said, I've seen a lot of like when I used to live here, I've seen a lot of events out of that building, like Boy Scout shit, like antique fairs. I'm like, I bet you they rent the space. So I park in the Publix before I go in there, and I Google American Legions near me. I see the one right next to me. I see one
Right.
in Longwood, and I see one in Kissimmee. And I'm like, you know what, man? Let me call that Longwood place. And they answer, and it's the nicest little lady. Gosh, I wish I'll remember her name by the time we're at the event. Nicest little lady. And she's like, yeah, um, let me look at the calendar. And I'm sitting there like, she's gonna say no, and we'll just call it.
Yeah.
This will be the last phone call, right? Like we'll call
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it. And she goes, yeah, we're available that day. And I'm like, "Oh my god." I'm like, "So who do I talk to about renting the space? What's the price?" And she goes, "Well, that lady's not until tomorrow, but if you wanna come by today, I'll show you the space."
Okay.
And again, so go into Publix, I buy what I need to buy. I head off to the American Legion Longwood, which I have 0% idea where it is. I just know it's in Longwood. I'm following the
Right.
GPS.
Yeah.
So I get there, and if you've ever seen an American Legion, a
Yeah.
VFW, Sons of Daughters of Italy, they're all the same concept. It
It's all
it
the
could
same idea.
it could very well be a house, like it's a nice little space, has a bar usually. They do gatherings there. But the cool thing about the American Legion in Longwood is it's on a lake. So it's beautiful. Obviously the event space is inside, but it's like beautiful for yard games, has a lake, everything like that. And I go there to talk to all these people. And obviously it's former veterans, wives of veterans. It's like 3 o'clock on a Tuesday before the hurricane. So but these are retired people, dude. They were the nicest people in the world. One guy's like offering to buy me drinks. I'm like, dude, I'm working. Like, I probably shouldn't have a drink. Like, I didn't pay for anything. Sorry, I forced the lady, the nice lady, to charge me for a bag of chips so that I could leave her a tip because like she was serving me like other guy was paying
Yeah.
for them or whatever. But I'm like, the way I grew up in the service industry, it doesn't matter if you paid for the drinks or not. Like you want to tip in some way, shape, or form.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I
That's
had to
correct.
charge I had to charge, and I know what it's like. Like I know the card fee was like whatever, but I had to charge me like I think 75 cents for a bag of chips, and then I left her like a $10
Oh.
tip so that
Yeah.
they could cover the
Yep.
cover it
Yep.
like put whatever you need in the house. You take whatever you need. Like first of all, I definitely drink way more than $10 worth of drink, and like everything like
Sure.
that. So anyways, this place, everybody's nice. They're super kind. And then she shows me the space. And it's kind of perfect for what we want to do on our first one. Like, I'm not going to pretend this is MegaCon or even like Fanboy Expo in the sense of,
Doesn't have to be though.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's a little smaller than even Rise of the Phoenix. But the kicker is we decided to make it a comic, pretty much a comic show. There's some people selling collectibles. Rise of the Phoenix is gonna have two booths out there. So they sell comics and like nerdy, like I mean, stuff we'd
Yeah.
like. And
Pop
then
culture.
yeah, and then Joel's wife also is gonna have a booth with some comics and pop culture. And then we'll
Sweet.
have tons of dollar bins. Um, we'll have dollar bins, back issues, discount trades. I have some keys. Actually, I wanted to show you this, Roy. This is so when I was pricing some back issues for the store, I found some Betty Page comics, which
Oh shit.
they ain't dynamite. They ain't dynamite. Page. You know what I'm saying? Like this ain't dynamite
Yeah.
like the current stuff. This is like
Yeah.
1989 Dave Stevens Betty Page over
That's
here.
what's up.
So, bro, I started looking up prices. Like some of these are keys in theory, like they'd be on a wall. Let's call them wall books,
Yeah.
and some of these
Yeah.
are just like $10 back issues. But bro, so apparently this is the first time Betty Page was in a comic book. So
Oh
Dave Stevens
man.
cover was called Movie Star News. bro, there's people selling it for $500 on eBay. Obviously, I'm trying to actually like, so I had that 200. Like, this is,
So yeah, price to move. Yeah,
yeah, this
dude.
is
Betty Page
apparently
is always gonna have an audience.
this is a first print
Wow.
because apparently there's a second print of this, from my understanding. So this first print is $75, goes for like 120. You know, and so whoever had this collection was obviously like collecting these at the time or loved it later, because then the rest of it is
Yeah.
these again are like 12, $15 packages. Number two,
Wow.
number three,
With the photo cover.
number
Oh,
four, old school, like almost Rockwell style. I think this one's
it
Steve.
does look Rockwell style. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, freaking. So it was 1 through 10 of Betty Page, bro.
That's
And like some
crazy.
of it is like art covers, some of it is photos, you know what I'm saying? But all of it
Is
is
that Olivia? I want that.
yes, that is Olivia.
I want that. I'll pay $10 for that.
Yeah, dude. And, like, see, here's that one's a
So
photo.
glad you showed that to me, dude.
That one's a photo, and then
Sorry, I love Olivia, dude. Olivia. Oh, did I clap too loud for you, bubbies? I'm sorry. You want more Pop Tart? All right.
yeah, dude. These things, like, I couldn't believe it, bro. Like, honestly, shout out to Agents of Slabs, Dino, Coach Dino. He actually is
Yeah,
like, dude, I got way too much stuff in my warehouse. Please come buy some stuff. So he sold me like some blind boxes. Like
that's cool.
him and Ivana like them through them, but he's like, honestly, like none of it in there we want to put on our stuff. Like take it. So me and Lauren spent 3-4 days going through some boxes, but we found cool.
Man, I
Like
miss all the fun.
this is just a well, yeah. It's you should see the dollar boxes, bro. Like because he gave me such a good deal, and obviously I found some stuff that like isn't dollar books. I threw
Yeah.
like $3 books in the dollar. Like I think there's a whole run of Curse of Spawn in the dollar
Oh
books,
wow.
like 1 through 50
Nice.
or something like that. Like that's just
Wow.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, we're setting up at conventions a lot now, so like obviously people like dollar books at conventions, but like
Yes,
I
sir.
um, but yeah, we got the comic. So the Halloween comic bash is going to be next Sunday, so a week from today, the 27th, from noon to 5, is at American Legion Post 183. They call it Old Glory. I think that's what it comes up on Google as.
Okay.
Longwood.
I like
Great-
it.
Awesome place, plenty of free parking, free entry, costume contest to enter for. We're gonna do an adults category and a kids category, both free. There's gonna be prizes. Trick or treating. Every table is gonna have some candy, so the kids can go trick or treating from table to table. Um, what else? What else? The free Halloween comics for kids. There's like two books that are for adults. I think Fantastic Four and Star Wars book is like more on the adult side. And then, like I said, we got some pop culture vendors. We're gonna be doing giveaways all day. Um, and then the other thing I'm really excited about, and we just announced this partnership like today, is so obviously people who may not know, my wife works for the Navy. She's not a veteran. She is what they call a, civilian employee. She's not a contractor. She works for the Navy directly. So we found out that so Comic Books for Kids is the main organization. They're a charity. They're the highest. They donate the most comic books to children's hospitals every year of any organization in the country.
That's
So
so cool.
they also for usually Memorial Day, I think Memorial Day weekends, like 3 week weekends. They usually do comic books for troops, and they donate the most comic books to troops, and they even donate anything collectible. They said they take nerdy T-shirts, Funkos, and they distribute them to the different places, and then they let the people in charge there distribute them to people who'd like them. So if it's like a Doctor Who shirt, like all right, Jimmy loves Doctor, so it's really cool. Um,
That is cool.
so since our event is at an American Legion, which is very veteran, it's veteran formed. It apparently was after somebody explain. When I was in the American Legion, I asked somebody explain the American Legion to me like I'm 5, and they did a
Yeah.
phenomenal
Okay.
job because they're like after World War II. I want to say they said a lot of the
Yes.
veterans came back and they just couldn't adjust to civilian life. Nobody, that it was very hard for them. So the American Legion was formed, and it allowed like at least a meeting place for a lot of these people that were struggling.
Right.
Like obviously it wasn't therapy or anything, but it was just this communal
No.
space which is what a
Wow.
comic book store is, right? Like isn't that
Yes.
like very coincidental?
Yes.
Um, So yeah, since we're and granted we are doing ours early. The guy we got approval from Mark over at Comic Books for Kids. He said we can go
Cool.
ahead and accept them early and then donate them to him. So we will be accepting donations for Comic Books for Troops at the event. Anybody who donates anything, so one item, 100 items, you will get entered into a raffle. We're gonna have some really cool prizes. I'm gonna dig it out. I think one of them is gonna be an omnibus. I was able to get some omnibuses in. I don't believe they're damaged. That they still haven't arrived yet, but they will arrive Tuesday. So I think we'll be giving out some $100 omnibuses as these prizes. But any donation, and I believe, let me read the email real quick. The guy said, just so you know, if you ever have any items such as Funko Pops, action figures, t-shirts, toys, comics, or literally anything pop culture, we take those as well. So if you just have stuff clogging it up, you were thinking of taking it to Goodwill, we also are taking stuff for Comic Books for Troops. Mark and these guys would be so happy to have this, and we're excited to team up with them. We will be I will be going ahead and using our dollar books and matching whatever donation comes in. So like I'll just take books
That's
out of
what's
our
up.
stock and donate. So if 100 books get donated, we'll donate another 100. So like yeah,
That's
I'm really
so cool.
I think it's cool, and we'll definitely start participating with them for Comic Books for Kids too. And I have to give credit. A lot of people in the industry dislike Lunar for a lot of reasons, and I don't get it. But I have to say, the only reason I found out about this was Lunar Distribution sent out an email that was like, "Hey, this is information on Comic Books for Troops. If anybody wants to participate, reach out to this guy." And I was like, "Yeah, why not?" And I would have never found out otherwise.
Yeah, which is a shame. It's also the first time I'm finding out about it because, like, dude, this is something I'll go hard for. This is great, and I love what you were saying about how, like, they make sure that, like, Johnny the Hoovian gets the Johnny Who the Doctor Who shirt. Like, I think stuff like that is awesome because not just that you gave up something that's going to go to someone that's like, what is this crap? But then that person doesn't have to feel like, what is this crap? While
Exactly.
someone else gets it. You know what I mean? Like, that's awesome. So,
Yeah,
like, I
I'm
really think
excited,
that's
man.
genius.
Yeah, I honestly think, and again, even like again, both parts of this charity are phenomenal. Comic Books for Kids. I mean, I can't believe I never thought about children's hospitals.
Yeah, now I'm sitting here wondering if I really need any of my Pop Funkos. Like,
and that's what I'm saying. Like, and like I know to some people it'd be weird. Like, well, what does like somebody like at a military station need a Pop Funko for? I'm like, dude,
you got to
like
be. Oh, these people
none
have
of
never
us
been like in
get to
jail or
that,
rehab before.
dude.
Like,
And like you have to be in a scenario like that to really understand what a one piece, like literally one piece, because a Funko Pop is one piece. One
yeah,
piece of normalcy or home can make you feel. So like
yeah.
I'm all about it, dude.
If you don't get that, then I know that the worst thing that ever happened to you is like, you didn't get the perfect Mercedes for your
Yeah,
16th birthday. Like, no, man, you got to be kidding me. Like, you
yeah.
could be throwing me a curb party, and as long as I had, like, that little Marvel Series 1 weapons card, Wolverine's claws, clutch tight, like, I'll be fine. You know what I mean? Like, I get it.
So yeah,
I
so
get it.
we're super excited. So that's gonna be the 27th. We'll have at our booth we'll have a spot for donations, and then come up because then we'll give you a raffle ticket so that you can be entered to win one of those cool omnibuses. And then
You don't say Omni.
omnibuy, no, omnibuy sounds weird to me. I'm
It's, I
sure
don't
that
think it's correct either. I think
is it
that's
not?
why
I
I
was gonna
love it
say it
so much.
sounds like the correct one simply
No,
because
I
I
don't think
always
it's right.
give the wrong one. And we have more. I don't have graphics for every guest just because we've been busy. I had a football game yesterday. We had a convention Sunday. Shout out to Rick Shea from Melbourne Touring Comic Con. They're doing it again in April. It was actually like, and I hate to say actually because we were expecting it to be a good show. I'd been to his shows in Orlando before, but it was a phenomenal show. And I just like I have to say, if anybody's ever down to make that trip to Melbourne, it's at the Melbourne Gymnasium, like out there. It's like a really cool spot. He does costume contests. He had Brooklyn Prince was out there. It was cool to see a familiar face from Blackbird. The
Yeah,
freaking Black Ranger, Walter Jones was out there.
Walter Jones.
There was some, Greg Land was out there. Like that was the big name artist. But
Hey,
Emily and Peter Reset were also out there. So we have Emily coming out to our event. Peter's a great writer, great editor. They actually are working on a Kickstarter right now called Pots and Panels.
pots and
It
pencils.
has some big names attached to it, like Tim
Yeah,
Seeley, like people who are published. And actually, Peter, it was actually a really cool feeling just because, like, Roy, I'm sure you're just like me. You like to see like these people succeed. You know, like I
Oh,
hate the little
especially
guy.
Peter and Emily.
Yeah. So Peter is sitting there at the convention. Like he's mostly I don't think he even was set up. He was just supporting Emily, right? And he comes
Yeah,
running over and he's like showing me his phone and he goes, "Dude, we had just gotten like a really big contribution." So I thought it was like a comic store, you know, doing like a retailer order because those are bigger. And he goes, "It was
right.
Alex Ross." Like Alex Ross not only backed the project, but then he shared it on his Twitter and Instagram, which has hundreds of thousands of followers.
Wow.
Like, yeah, so like I'm happy for them, man.
That's legit.
Like I know Emily's been published like on stuff that's come out like through Diamond and everything, but I'm gonna say like Pots and Panels is definitely a big deal for them. So I'm very
I
happy.
still I still need to get that because she sketched that Darkwing Duck cover for me, and I had her do the whole cover. And I need to get that CGC'd before like anyone else CGC's anything that they've done because I want to be the first. I want to have that beast. Man, then you can see from what she's got there, but like, dude, my cover rules. If it wasn't like in the redwoods, I'd dig it out, man.
In the
But
redwoods in the
it's
California
so
forest.
like you see me look over at it. It's just like it's so far up, dude. It's at least 15 feet.
Oh my god.
It's
Dude, and
ridiculous.
so she did do I have it here? No. Oh, yes, I do. She did, and
That's what's up
this was one of her really like Emily is really affordable in general. I think if you're the
for
like
now.
the full yeah, right? The full color, like that bottom right stitch that you can see there.
Yeah,
Um that I believe is $40 like for full body, full color, which is very affordable on this like area. But I want to say this was like one of her $20 sketches that she did for Lauren. And like
that's perfect.
her art style is just so cool. And honestly, spend the extra money and let her do some colors. She did the little bit of color in the glasses for me as a favor because you know they're awesome. But like
Yeah,
let her I my advice is let her do some colors because her colors are awesome. Thank you so much, Marvin. Marvin Win, if none of y'all know, I've known Marvin for a while, you know, unofficially out here through the social medias. Um, he has his own comic book, I believe, called The Edge. It came out through publication through Diamond. He also kickstarts it. Definitely check out Marvin. It's a really cool book. I was a big fan of The Edge. So Emily's gonna be out there at the event. I also got this is so I invited Travis Gibb. Travis Gibb has family in town, so Travis Gibb will be at our next event. Everybody knows Travis Gibb is one of the guys that got me into all of this stuff. But I did invite Gambit, Elias Gambit Melendez, tattoo artist, comic book artist.
that's what's
Lauren
up.
put some of his recent stuff out there. He's honestly really stepped up his art recently in the sense that he entered on that the Spawn anniversary or
Yeah,
whatever it was. He
yeah,
didn't
that's how.
win.
Yeah,
Like, you know, a lot of people entered and didn't win, but he honestly like got really motivated on that, and like he has some good prints now. You can even schedule a tattoo session with him if you want. So Gambit's
yeah.
gonna be out there.
He's clearly dedicated to what he's got going on. You
Yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And seeks to continuously just keep leveling up. I don't want to say getting better because that makes it sound like he's not. You
Exactly.
know what I mean?
But
But
leveling
just
up, I like that.
leveling up. You know what I mean? And I love to see that out there, especially the people that are local people that we know.
Yeah.
And so that's always rad.
And I could be wrong about it being his first, but he is getting a diamond published cover because he did the variant for Travis Gibbs Granite
Granite
State
State
House
Punk.
of Coven. So that comes out.
Nice.
Unfortunately, I felt like
That's
originally
what's
it was
up.
supposed to come out for Halloween. And that's now scheduled for 2 weeks after Halloween. But we ordered a decent amount at Flashpoint, and we're gonna try to find an event where we can get them together to sign and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I love Patrick Boymayer, but you know, Gambit's local, so we're supporting both of them at this point.
Yeah, but I love Patrick though. It's a big shout out to Patrick. But yeah, and way to go, like Travis, like taking care of the people that he should. You know what I mean? Not that Gambit like deserves a favor or anything, because I'm sure that's what I'm saying. He worked for it, and so, but it's good to see that people don't forget. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that this is a good place for him to shine, and that's rad. And that'll definitely be now. I guess I should order both covers. Is what I
um,
should really do. I don't know if I, like I said, I all respect to Gambit, but I don't know if I can leave my boy Patrick out in the cold
dude,
like
it
that.
was
That's my
so
guy.
as a store, I felt better because I'm like the store ordered both. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, I
Yeah,
know
yeah,
my collection is gonna be the signed Travis and Gambit cover. Like that's all I'm.
yeah, yeah.
And then honestly, so I didn't make a like I said, I don't have a graphic for everybody yet, but I ran into these guys at Melbourne and I just had to I gotta have them back. Like, man, like we've talked about
Oh yes, I do.
Raycana, man. We've talked about them a
Yeah,
lot.
this is Ray Connor.
They're on issue 6. It's crazy to think that we're that far. Like I remember them walking in to the old collective, like on the other side of the road, and being like, "Hey, we got issue 1 of our self-published book." And at that point, we had just started the collective initiative, and I was like, "Cool, we're down." Dude, the fact that these guys are at issue 6 without doing Kickstarter, doing it all themselves, it's just phenomenal. So we're gonna have, if you guys don't know, it's Ray and Robert from El Rey Madura Comics. They do a comic book called Raycana. Let me see if they have any.
I cannot say enough about these guys.
Like,
Every
dude,
time that I see them, it's a joy. They always, remember who you are, where we've been, what we've done, and just the vibes coming off of them, like just two solid guys, and
they're
I love that.
they're such fun people to be around. Ray's going to be doing a couple of free sketches for kiddos. So like, it's great to have them out there. And again, they're going to have issue 6 of Raycana. And I do believe I should have asked them before I left the show. I do believe they have all 6 issues now in stock. And I think
Awesome.
so one of the biggest complaints that anybody ever had with them, which is very few, right? These guys are awesome, was that I think it was issue 2 or issue 3. So Ray, who's the artist, is a huge fan of Ninja Turtles. So
Yeah.
he printed his number 2 um, to be the size of the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 1, which
Right.
like awesome idea, right? Like awesome idea. The problem was they just couldn't figure that it was very difficult to get it printed that way. It was more expensive. So they chose not to print number 2, 3, in that size. And so it was
Right.
you have one book that was a different size. So they did have to go to
Well,
because they've sold out. And they printed it. So they're all the same size. They're all comic book size now. So I'm excited.
hey.
We got these guys there.
Oh,
And then let's see. So we got Rise of the Phoenix selling pop culture stuff. We got Joel Rodriguez selling pop culture stuff. And then Joel Rodriguez will be there signing all his Dust County Chronicles stuff. I think
very cool.
Joel also worked on a Kickstarter with Jonathan Hedges. So he'll have that. I think
Okay.
it's Brackish. Brackish, I think it was what it's called.
Okay. That sounds right.
So I'm excited for that, dude. Like we got a lot going on in the next like 3 weeks.
Hey, not for nothing, but Drew Hayes self-published the first 11 issues of Poison Elves all by himself, and they were oversized magazine format because that's how he had to do it. And I cherish those big ugly bastards more than I do. You know what I mean? So don't. It's not a bug. It's a feature.
Yeah, dude. And speaking
I
of Poison
love those
Elves,
guys.
I made sure to not take them to the show, but I have.
What?
I think I sent you a picture of them like when we first bought the collection. Like I don't know how long ago it was, but I still have those 2. I think they're trade paperbacks of Poison Elves.
Okay.
They were like collected editions or something. I'll send you.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what volumes you have.
I think it was
I'll take a
2
look at that.
I think it was 2 and 3 because I don't think it was 1. I'll send you a picture again. But I have those.
I imagine that if I didn't buy those from you, it's because I already have them.
I think you might, or I think at that point we were like 0% progress into having them priced in any way, shape, or form.
Gotcha. Yeah, all right. Yeah, that could be it too.
I think I was in Dino's warehouse, like looking through what he was about to sell me. I'm like, Poison Elves. Roy's talked
Yep.
about that once, and I took
Oh yeah, just once.
Yeah.
It's the best comic that was ever made.
One of our early podcasts, you were talking about how he had the Kickstarter going, and we literally
Yes.
talked about it like on a whole thing. So like, yeah, I did not forget. I did not forget about Poison Elves.
Second Kickstarter also massively overfunded in moments. They're gonna do they think it's gonna be like a total of 5. And They came on YouTube just with some actually the same punk rock dude that interviewed us at MegaCon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't realize it was him for a minute, and then I realized it was, and so it was him and Rob Horan, which is the dude from Sirius that has the rights and is doing all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And they did an unboxing, and it was like real impromptu, and they hit us up on Kickstarter, and they're like, I don't know if anyone's interested, but like in 45 minutes we're going to be doing this. And there was like maybe like 45 of us that got it in time and had the time, but so I got to sit in there and just talk their faces off about
Oh, dude.
everything. And it was so cool. And so they to try to just go ahead and let it go, the best thing about them is how personal they really make this stuff. It is so obvious, not just a cash grab, and it's in true spirit and honor of the creator Drew Hayes. Like one of the certificates that you get, and I've never gotten anything more beautiful in the Kickstarter. The package is beautiful, but the certificate that you get is actually handwritten by his daughter, who
Oh,
also stands to make
yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of this goes back to her. And man, it's just like not one person, I guarantee you, in this Kickstarter opened this thing up, read this certificate, and didn't get misty like a mother, dude, because I'm telling you I did. Like it was amazing. It's like I told Travis Gibb, like that's why I love getting to know him and being able to sit there and like know, or Gambit, or Patrick, any of the Bags brothers. Oh,
Oh,
I
dude, I
love
miss
those
them.
guys,
Bags,
man. I
brother.
miss them. But so, and the best part of that is you really get to know these people, and through that, get to really understand the work that's in front of you, and that just increases the ties that you have to it. It's such a beautiful thing. And for me, Drew Hayes was the beginning of that because he started every page out with just a rant, and he would rant about whatever it was he wanted to rant about. And then in the letters column was called death threats, and he would just argue with people. Like, and dude, it's so beautiful. They cut a trade paperback of it, like,
Gee.
so you can just read all of the letter where it's like, it's not always that,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
some people are like, hey Drew, you know what, f you, and he's like, you know what, f you, and then they'll argue about it for like 3 months, and it's amazing. Yeah, and so like
Oh,
that's why this stuff means so much to me, and they took all of that personal and put it into these packages and the deals that they're turning out, and it's great. And I don't know if this is where I would necessarily jump on if you've never heard of it, but like maybe, I don't know, the digital copies are out there. It's the best thing ever, especially in a day where like things like Vox Machina are doing so well and D&D is so popular because the story is like basically based off his D&D character who was based off of him, you know what I mean? And so that's why the book was so personal the whole time, all while being about like elves and stuff. So rad. Read Poison Elves. Anyways, I'll be done. Sorry.
no, you're good. Marvin, are you talking about the Halloween show? If you are, just go ahead and send me an email. I'm gonna
Ran about Poison Elves until I'm red in the face, apparently.
so I'm gonna put our store email in the chat. I think it's gonna work. Maybe. Oh no, it only went to YouTube. That's unfortunate. I'm gonna put it on the screen. So I know Marvin's on Facebook. Marvin, send me an email. I am literally so I'm I'm either at capacity or I have one left, and I hate to admit this on air. I need to go into the Legion again on Monday with the tape measure and make sure I have the right measurements. Because I didn't write anything down the first time I went. I should have got. I've learned my lesson, right? You trial and error, right? So I should have gone in with like a clipboard and been like, all right, da da da. So I'm going in Monday, to blueprint it out myself, make sure all the tables work. I do believe I have room for 11, and I do think I only have 10, but I don't want to make that promise to you without checking. So just send me an email over at flashpointcomicsandgames@gmail.com, and I will reply to you as soon as I figure that out. And then also, if anybody's ever got questions about subscription, like I said, pull box is on there. But because that email is already there, you can email us at that email, flashpointcomicsandgames.com, and we can get flashpointcomicsandgames@gmail.com, and we can get things rolling. But Marvin, yeah, just email me. I will totally. I will try to make it work regardless. But I want to be able. The one thing about the space is they have a bar there, like a bar in the space. Like it's like the type of bar like some fancy guy would have in like his pool his like pool room. You know what I'm saying? It's just like a wraparound type of setup. And they were like, "Yeah, we can have somebody manning that bar if you want." I'm like, "No." I'm like, "Your bar is 2 steps outside of the room." Like, cause the convention's Sunday. So they have people that just come and watch football in the bar with them.
Sure.
Well, if you guys are going to be open at the bar, I'm like, so it's kind of like the Sons and Daughters of Italy thing. If people want to get a drink and come and look at stuff, they can get a drink, come look at stuff. I did convince them to make hot dogs and hamburgers. So if
Okay.
people want to buy hot dogs and hamburgers, there's going to be food. Like I said, weather should be beautiful. It's on a lake. I'm like really excited for this. So I'm going to meet up with them tomorrow to, dot the I's and I've already signed the contract. I mean, everything's done. I just need to make
Right.
sure all the space is what I need for it and everything. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, this is the first I've mentioned it to anybody. And the couple people watching are gonna know. I'm really trying, and this is why, like, I'm trying not to jeopardize space for vendors, but at the same time, I really badly want to have a memorial type thing for Carl Malign. Um, uh,
Yeah.
so like, I know he was he probably would have been at the show if he was still around and in good health.
Yeah.
So I found actually he used to write a book called I think Route 66, I think maybe something
Yeah.
like
I
that.
have
Yeah,
Route 666 for
yeah,
CrossGen.
that's
That's
yep,
how I know him.
yep. So I have a ton of
It blew
copies.
his mind when I mentioned that to him.
Yep,
I was like,
I,
dude, I was like, you're known for this? I was like,
yeah,
no, homie. I know you from Route 666.
yep.
Wait, he's like, you have that? And I was like, yes.
Yeah. So I found a run of it and it just made me think like I'm like, oh, I'm like I'd feel bad dollar binning it. Like I don't know what to do. So I was just gonna put it there, like put it at a table and get a picture of him. Man, put a little freaking tea light
Yeah.
there. Like so I don't know. I just gotta go in there and measure it out and figure out everything because like Carl I'd only had the pleasure of getting Carl at 2 conventions or two events of which I booked. And he was just a phenomenal person, a phenomenal guest. He did the cover for us for the first issue of Coins of Judas. I remember
Yeah.
that was just so nice, and he did it at such a great rate for us. And so yeah, Carl Malign passed away probably about a month ago now, and it's just I know a lot of people miss him, and it was rough. Uh, Speaking right before, I know you were about to say something. I did want to say
No, you're good.
speaking of people who passed away, and I don't know if I haven't gotten a chance to share this story with you. So, Davey Lee, who's a good friend of mine, comic book creator out of Melbourne as well. I ran into him at
Yeah.
Melbourne during Comic Con, and I was like, "Oh, you got a booth here, huh?" And he goes, "No, I'm actually helping Daniel Martinez's wife."
Mm.
And so they had a booth, and I don't know if it was because it was already paid for, or because she just wants to keep promoting his stuff. But they had a booth for he did no contest, and then
Yep.
I believe he had a new book that had just come out either right before or right after. I forget what it was about. Um,
Manny.
Manny. But so they were there selling Daniel's books, right? And they were tabled right next to Travis, so Travis could, Travis is a pitch man, right? So
Yeah.
Travis
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
give them the pitches. And man, like, and first of all, like I got to see Daniel's kid, like the wife was there with the kid, and obviously it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
emotional. I don't want to bring the mood down, right? It was emotional knowing what we know about
Sure.
Daniel and everything. But I did want
Right.
to say, like, I really was happy to see that his comic books. And actually, Travis was saying that he wrote one more no contest before he died, so that will get published, like that will come
Cool.
out. So I was really just happy because he was a good guy, man. It was sad. A lot of
He
us were sad
was
to
a
see him
good
go,
guy.
and I was happy to see his legacy live on, not just in his kid, but in the comic books that he poured his heart into. Because like, dude was a lawyer. Let's be real, he didn't
Yeah.
need to be making comic books. Like that was
No.
that was not something he needed to do, but
It
he
was
loved
definitely
it.
from the heart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Passion project, man.
So I was very happy to see that that his wife was out there and Davey was helping and Travis. That was really to me a community effort in the sense that this was a bunch of people that knew Daniel and helped Daniel create his comic. I'm sure Davey was somebody he talked to about writing as well. and to see them
Sure.
come together to be like, hey, we want to continue to prop this up without, even if you're not around to help us.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was real cool to see.
That is nice.
Yeah. So Daniel, R.I.P. to Daniel Martinez and Carl Maline. The comic industry has taken a lot of hits this year, both
For
professionally and
real.
independently. Like it's been tough. Manny, love you, Manny. Manny, I believe is going to be out on Sunday, helping us out a little bit. I'm very excited to share. Honestly, like I know this is probably a space that like none of y'all had ever been to. It's right off of the main road right there too, but it's like just in the back. Like I would have never guessed it. It's right across the street from the old Highlight, the old Orlando Highlight Arena or whatever. Yeah, exactly. It's like in the cut, but it's an awesome spot. I'm gonna when I go talk to him tomorrow, I'm also gonna talk to him about setting up some yard games, like maybe cornhole and everything. Because like I said, weather's great, everything like that.
I
But
think I still
yeah,
have my lawn darts.
Manny. Oh, yeah, dude, were lawn darts the one that like in the
Yes.
night, like everyone's like, dude, well, how are these
Yes.
a children's toy?
Yes. It's just a missile with a javelin on the front. Yeah, dude, those say that's not a joke, and we're just allowed. Like, not only were we allowed to play with those, but we were completely unsupervised because it was a demand that we leave the house. Like, you couldn't be in the house during the day, as if like they had to turn like they're sleeping upside down like vampire bats in the closet. So the kids have to be out of the house. And so you just go and you just leave and you just ride your bike until you find the pile of bikes. And sometimes it's at little Tommy's house and Ricky's already pegged out for the sun with these lawn darts or some gun that shoots black powder caps. Dude, if you weren't bursting into flames, like you didn't have a good Christmas. You know what I mean? It's like just a whole different world than what I see these days. But that's my
Like
age.
I've
Yeah,
seen,
lawn darts are real, man.
and it
Word.
might have been, it might be like right before your time. I feel like it'd be like my mom, maybe even it would have been like between my mom's era and my grandma's era when they used to. And maybe I'm thinking too old. Uh, the chemistry kits or the science kits.
Oh God, yeah,
And,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and those still exist, and like they're all right. They're decently safe. But back then, it was like, oh, let's just give the kid a stick of plutonium or
Yeah, this
like
is
some
rough,
iron,
man.
like mercury, like
Lead.
yeah, lead. Everything was made of
Yep.
lead. But yeah, I see
Everything was
those
made of
little
lead.
things,
Shit was
and
delicious.
I'm just like laughing, dude. Like it's hilarious. I'm like, man,
It is, man.
those kids made it. They survived. They're alive.
Here we
Like,
are. I got all my fingers and everything, man.
yeah. Oh, dude. But so I feel like, and we're at an hour. I know we had a lot to catch people up on. I did want to at least talk about two comic book things because I think
I have comic books. I grabbed. I was like,
great.
you know what? We should talk about comics at some point.
For sure. All right, this
So
is what we're gonna do. This is gonna be the final three segments. You're gonna show us what you got. You're gonna talk about Valiant Universe
I
because
didn't grab any of the Valiant
you
stuff.
don't
All
have to
right.
show it. I'm intrigued. I want to get your opinion on how this resurgence type thing. They're kind of going back to square one, and I'm intrigued at how you've liked it. And then
Okay.
I'm going to talk a smidge about DC Absolute because that's, even though I haven't been reading because I've been working on the business, I've interviewed
Yeah.
two All In creators already. Dan Waters went live already. His Nightwing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I actually have an interview with the Harley Quinn writer Elliot Kalan coming out
Okay.
next week. Elliot is actually not a known comic book writer in the sense that his fame is a television writer, and he's written
Okay.
for Mystery Science Theater, and he wrote for The Daily Show for like 18 years. So
Hey.
yeah, so I'm excited with that because he's a comedy background. Because obviously writing
Yeah.
for The Daily Show is kind of like writing for SNL, but with news. So
Yeah. A little more cerebral.
yeah, yeah. So I'm really excited to talk about a little bit of that. And Absolute Batman came out last week, and I've heard. I haven't read it. It's literally I have some copies, so I hear it's sold out everywhere. And I'm sitting here with the convention box ready for next Sunday with Absolute Batman. But I heard it's good. So all right, show us what you got. I'm gonna make you full screen.
I literally didn't grab anything to run a segment. Like I said, most of my stuff is up. So the first thing I wanted to show off, like I said, this is the death threats. And so this is literally just an entire letters column from his book, Poison Elves. They uh they had to make some annotations and clarify some things here and there because The best part about Drew's work is that it was messy. Like he was doing it all himself. So like especially before he got picked up by Rob and Sirius as a publisher in the late 90s. And he like I said doing it all himself. His work was full of typos. He would misspell his own characters' names. Like he would like spill something on the page and be like, "Sorry, I spilled that on the page, buddy." You know what I mean? But it's going to print. Like you could almost picture him like turning the wheel himself. Like cranking these things out. And so it was flawed the way that he was flawed, and that made it all the more real and all the more beautiful. It does have like some art in it, not much, but I mean it's black and white. It's like I said, it's elves, like as it goes as it gives out, but it's more than that. There's all it's high fantasy, so there's all kinds of creatures, wizards, genies, and he was into being kick ass and doing kick ass things, like and that's where he's at. So they had some problems because the main character's name is Lucifer. It's not even spelled the same way, nor is there any like relation or connotation to the biblical figure at all. Just, I guess Drew just thought it was badass, and he's not wrong. And so the book started off being called I, Lucifer, and eventually he was having a tough time, especially without any kind of studio behind him, getting that book on shelves. So he settled for Poison Elves as the title, and that's how it progressed from there forward. But anyways, if you ever wanted to just get to know somebody, that book will have you laughing, have you crying. Like even if you didn't read the comic, like it doesn't even matter. It's self-contained in its glory. How often do they really do something like
Yeah,
that?
yeah. Is that was that a Kickstarter thing or
No,
was
this
that
is you can
like
nah, you can just buy this thing on Amazon. They only printed what they're printed, and they don't plan on printing it again. Like here, this is
who prints
Drew.
it? Does it say
This is Drew Hayes. People suck. That's my guy. Serious Entertainment printed
Oh,
this.
Sirius is still print. Okay, okay.
Yeah, Rob still. I don't know that he does it under the banner of Sirius anymore per se. But yeah, it's still Rob Horan who was the guy who ran that or does run it,
Yeah,
however you want to
yeah,
look at it. And so there are goodies that we are getting because of that. They're like they just pulled out like an archive of like something that just never sold, and they're like, so we still have this, and it's these red foil rare editions, and like you want that too. Or they collected like the first time that his work was ever published in color was in an like an Overstreet Price mag,
yeah,
and so yeah, and so they've actually just bought bundles of those back in the day because they were so happy, or they got them on comp.
yeah, yeah,
Who knows? But now I know that I'm getting one with the next Kickstarter, so I get this old
yeah.
Overstreet. Yeah. So they're really killing it over there. And then the other thing I got is I just wanted to shout out to John Jang,
Dude,
who continuously gets me to buy
yes,
comic books that I have absolutely no
yes,
investment in buying whatsoever.
yes. I
Like,
honestly, John Jang is like. So first of all, and you got to meet him right at last MegaCon.
yeah, man,
Dude,
you would think that this guy like pays me to do his public, but I
dude,
don't.
no,
Like,
but
yeah,
the
I
thing
got to
is,
meet him.
and we've talked about it, dude, and it's very easy with guys like John, Alan Quah, like those guys to be fans and like kind of like just tell other people about them because they're such nice.
Yes,
Every time you
because they're
meet them
nice
and get
people.
an autograph, I'm
Yeah.
so jealous that you still have that Doom sketch that you have from Quah, dude.
Oh, that's up way high right now.
Dude, first of all, like so he's done some Dooms since, and it's like every time I see him do a Doom, I have to say to myself, Roy really hit it on the head, saying that
Yeah.
one of Alan's best characters to draw is Doom. Like it is getting the mask with the greens. Like, oh my god, Alan is just meant to draw Doctor Doom.
Yeah. And dude, that story he did in that Savage Sword of Conan is lit, dude.
Yep.
It
Yep.
is lit. If you and then like I love that he took the approach of making it like a silent issue. Like I'm not necessarily a writer. I don't want to do that.
Yep.
I want to come in and visually tell this story, and that's exactly what he does, and it's beautiful. Like,
Yeah. He's like, I'm
man,
just gonna give you some action and you're gonna love it and take it.
and I do. By the way, pound for pound, Savage Sword of Conan is the most budget budget worthy book because it's like 48 pages for like
Oh yeah,
6 bucks.
yeah, yeah.
48 pages every time, and it's awesome. If you're not like Conan is the best comic book of 2024. I don't care who you are. If you have a different opinion, you're allowed to have that opinion. Just know that your opinion is wrong.
Dude,
Conan is amazing.
whenever you mention Conan, whenever anybody mentions Conan now, I think of Doug. Think of Doug.
Yeah,
Doug to
yeah,
me seems like the biggest Conan fan, young or old, that I've ever met.
yeah, yeah. Doug is one of the biggest Conan
Yeah,
fans you've ever met. I
yeah,
believe that.
yeah.
That guy, he's legit in his love.
Yep,
Absolutely. But yeah, no, so that book continues to just blow my mind. I just found out that Jim Zub actually signed a multi-year deal to continue that book.
yep.
Like they're
I
they're
think
they're doing it right. Now if you don't like Conan, don't read this
no, yeah,
book.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
if you just want, if you're like, oh man, if only Conan, like they're giving it to you.
Yeah.
They're
I
giving it to you.
I know a lot of people hate IP houses, and I hesitate to call Titan an IP house, but, like, Titan's done a really good job with IP lately. Like, they got Doctor Who, they got Conan. They've knocked Conan out of park since Marvel had to give it up. So, like,
Yeah.
they really, they've done Dark Souls. That's where Alan honestly cut his teeth, was those old Dark
Yep.
Souls and everything like that.
Yep.
They do a really
Also,
good
another
job.
comic that I've got tons of. I've never
Yep,
read it. Don't even know what it's
yep.
about.
Yep. Yeah, I think they also do Blade Runner, which is again like it's like
Yeah.
you have a small pocket of fans, but you do a great job of getting them. Like,
And then this,
ooh, is that the glow
like,
in the dark? Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
of course. So I can't even get it to glow in the day for you correctly here.
Yeah.
I haven't read this yet, but I hope that it's good because I'm definitely buying all these covers. Like this one, it doesn't look like the next one glows in the dark. It didn't say it,
It did
but
not
it's the
say it in the
same.
solicit, but that's the A
Gotcha.
cover,
So
right? That's the A
this
cover.
is it. It's the A cover and the A cover for number two. It's a FOC this week. It's the same guy and it's the same concept. So I will be sad if it doesn't glow, but even if it doesn't, it's still amazing, and you'll never be able to see it here.
No,
But
it
like
glows.
the
It
way,
glows.
well, no, here we go. So you can. I'm talking about the detail, like in
Oh,
Batman, the way he looks like a gargoyle, like rendered from stone.
have you seen
Right here is
the
amazing.
the number 2, cover? Like, it says it
Yes,
close, but that image, like, I can't wait to see that up close, like, because the way he draws Batman in the foreground and the wolf in the background, like, dude, he
yes.
yeah, yeah.
So this werewolf is just,
That's
I
what I
don't
want
know.
my werewolves to look like.
It's
That's a
what
werewolf.
I want my werewolf to let it. Yes, that is my werewolf. Yes.
Yep, my
And so
werewolf.
I had, and then the glow effect is gnarly. I love it. I love it. I almost reached across the counter and slapped Aaron in the face. He's like, "It's UV reactive, so you have to leave it out in the sun." I was just, "What are you talking about?
No, you
Get
know
your
what would
little
be
radiant.
fun?
Don't you have your radiant black flashlight?
Do
Don't you
you
have your
still
something
have
is
it? Do you
killing?"
still have
Yeah,
your radiant black flashlight?
I have radiant black and I have something that's killing the children. Yes, I do.
Dude, I'll never
I am a I'm a hoarder, bro. Like I have all that stuff. I still have your wedding invitations and everything. I got
um,
all that stuff, man. You gotta be kidding me.
Manny, it kind of is here. I'm gonna pull up the solicit real quick.
I'll
Batman,
crack her open.
Batman's full
Check out
moon,
this interior.
full
But
moon.
yeah, it glows green so bright, and I was so excited. It's so rad. And I'm
DC,
just so happy that I bought this comic book. Oh,
yeah, it's
okay.
supposed to be like old school gore. It's called a gory Gotham horror story, ancient and
So
supernatural forces.
kind of giving a little Malise. It's kind of giving a little Beasley, but not as much as I would like. It's that, I don't know.
It to
So
me, reading the solicit, it seems like I don't compare it this way in the sense that it's steampunk, but it seems like it's like Gotham by Gaslight in a different era, right? Like, hey, Elseworld, take a
sure.
Batman out of it. He's fighting these lichen, like monsters. Zatanna's in it, like so, like
Yeah, Zatanna and Constantine.
yeah, yeah. So like I think it's kind of Elseworld, but they did Batman versus Bigsby Wolf very different
Yeah.
than that in the sense that that's from oh god, what is that thing? Fables. That's from Fables, where this is just you know.
Gotcha. Yeah, just standalone werewolf story. So I mean, but like it seems cool. It looks a little rushed in some places, but I'm not familiar with this guy's style.
Yeah, I'm
So
not gonna lie, those are some of the best covers I've seen him do. Because usually in FOC, when I see Subic, I'm not uber impressed, but like
right,
these covers in black and white are phenomenal.
yeah, for sure. So while I don't necessarily lobby for cover collecting, I will say that I am just pleased as punch that I bought this comic book. You know what I mean?
Good investment.
Yep. And then if I talked over Valiant time, I can do Valiant next week.
I mean, it's up to you, dude. We ain't over nothing. Manny's still
Now
watching.
I never shut up, so it's whatever. All right. So
So Valiant's they've been doing Valiant Resurgence for at least 3 months now. Might be a little bit more. Might be almost
oh,
4.
it's been going on for well the Resurgence book
Like yeah,
itself.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's over. It's been four. It's four. I have
So
issue
yeah,
number 4, I believe.
Valiant's like kind of. I don't want to say. I wouldn't call it a reboot. Would you call it a reboot, or is it more like refamiliarizing people with them?
I would call it a resurgence.
Thanks, Roy.
Shout out to my Valiant people who are not watching this. That's unfortunate. They don't know how hard I push for them. Uh, but actually, apparently they do because Aaron told them. Um,
Yeah, like we got
but
one guy and Terry Grantham
yeah,
over at Collective. There's 2 guys in all of
yeah,
Orlando that love.
yeah. Well, but I guess he was talking to Amber. I can't think of her last name, but she was involved with Valiant until just very, very recently. And they were talking about, I can't remember the whole story he told me, but it was kind of like a forum to discuss like marketing and comics and stuff like that. And they were talking about what works and what doesn't work. And Aaron was like, I'll tell you what works. I got a guy in my shop that was like here for Valiant, wasn't even ordering any of your new stuff. Then he said something to you on Reddit, 3 of you responded, and now he buys everything that you put out. So that's what works. And I'm like, yes, that's what works. Dude, act like you heard my voice and I will shout you to like,
Yep,
yes, go buy that stuff.
yep,
I'm with it. And that's exactly what happened. And so it's a long and convoluted thing if you don't know a history of Valiant Comics. You're gonna have to figure it out. But I guess somewhere around like 2012 to 2015, they had their biggest reboot before what's happening now, the Alien books. This era is called like VEI because they turned into Valiant Entertainment.
mhm.
They're under the guidance of a guy named Dinesh, and apparently it started. And I didn't collect any of this stuff when it dropped. I wasn't even collecting comics at all, let alone poor lonely Valiant, which I had no hope for since 1993. And so I skipped it all, and they rebooted. They came back with their core characters: Exo, Rye, Bloodshot, Archer and Armstrong, Shadow Man, these things. And they rebuilt their universe again. And they celebrated the way they always do, with a giant crossover and then closing their doors. So it seems to be how Valiant kicks it. Unfortunately, it's not all their fault. But anyways, there's all kinds of politics and everything involved in all of that, and I don't really care because I'm just a guy who likes to read comics. So if you want to chase that down, all the information's out there. But anyways, so now that Alien Books is the ones publishing Valiant stuff, they're coming with these new books, and it's the Resurgence. They've been coming out over the last few months with Bloodshot, because that's a good seller. So they had
Mhm.
Bloodshot Reloaded. They did Ninjak, which I missed, and I have to hunt that down. And now they're doing, and they're really slow with all this. And then it's been the road to Resurgence, and we've gotten 2 Exo series, both were like 4 books, and then Resurgence itself was 4 issues, and there were tie-ins to that, but that's always been Valiant's thing because Jim Shooter, when he formed Valiant, was hot off of his success with Secret Wars,
Oh
and he
yeah.
had discovered that putting these guys together sells books. And so he wanted to do a more interconnected universe and more interconnected characters. He didn't care that you had to buy an issue of every single book that they put out to get the story, and you do. So they did it a little bit differently this time. Like I said, Resurgence was 4 books, and they had these side books. You had 2 issues of Archer and Armstrong, two issues of Master Dark and his sister, and one issue of this, two issues of that, just to get everything rolling again. And I will admit that I am now a little behind on what is new, because during this process they have decided to bundle the VEI era, which was 2012 or
Um,
2015, whatever, into these nice chunky trades. And they are coming hot and fast. It seems like every week I've got one of these books. It doesn't seem that long ago that I told my wife it's $25 to collect a piece to collect these. The whole thing is going to cost, I think, like $250, something like that. And like I'm going to do it. And she was like, okay. And now I'm like almost done. You know what I mean? Almost all the not almost all the books are out, but I got like seven of these things.
yeah.
So they're really high quality production, and the creators in here were great. Like Rye was like 18 issues of Clayton Crane interiors, and whatever about that guy's personality, but 18 issues of Clayton Crane interiors on Rye was a treat. I'm going to tell you right now. And like, I didn't know about like Ryan Kent. I didn't know about these people and a lot of these creators, and I really got to dive into their vision and these updated takes, these characters, and it's been phenomenal. So like, that's where I was going. Is the new stuff's been so good, especially like Ninjak versus Roku and Shadow Man stuff. AJ Ampadu, shout out to him, he's killing it. And also would probably interview with you, I might add, and I could set that up.
Oh yeah.
uh
Yeah.
just a thought, like I could probably throw that their way, because like I said, they're listening, they're out there, they're listening. You can follow them on Instagram, you can follow them on Reddit, and they're in there, and even on Facebook, they're responding to the fans, they're taking what we say and they're listening, and they got feedback, and I think it's phenomenal. It's way better than anything you're going to get out of Marvel or DC or even Image. So I really love that. Just like we've been talking this whole show about like a creator owned tent. Surely this isn't quite that. But I mean, these are still people that you can interact with and get to know, and that makes the stories better for me personally. Anyways, the stuff that's going on is so interesting, and as someone who read the 90s books, I can follow along with it. But as someone who had no experience with the VEI, I was left kind of like wanting more. And these books are coming so fast that now I'm devouring these books, which are anywhere from, like I was telling you, like 275. I keep looking over because I'm hoping my eye catches it, and I'm just going to get up and get it. Anywhere from like 275 pages to like 450 pages, and they're still $25 a pop no matter what. They've got the dope interconnected spine image, so they got that for you. They've got variant covers in there, and they smell amazing. I don't know what paper and ink they're using over there, but they smell amazing. And anyone who's been watching us long enough knows that that's my weird thing is I if you don't keep your eye on me, I'll smell your comic books while you're in the bathroom.
Bro, that's what every real
So,
collector
if you don't, I don't know what's wrong with you. Hold on, I'm gonna grab this thing, man. I'm tired of tripping myself out. I got two of them right here, so it's a deal.
So Manny, I actually hate that DC doesn't like use it more because I think it's so genius. But in the Teen Titans TV show in 2003, they introduced characters that were first introduced in the show, then they became in the comics, but they're speedsters. It's Masi Manos, which is more or less right. They're twin brothers from Guatemala. They're speedsters, but they can only run at super speed if they're making contact. So like they hold hands and run, or like it's almost like Wonder Twins meets speedsters. But I love it because they're just like very like I don't want to say it doesn't feel like a Speedy Gonzalez scenario where it's like a little too on the nose. But it's like
Right.
as a Hispanic, I laugh. Like I don't know if white people can laugh about it, but like I laugh.
Well, that's why I started laughing, is because I read his comment that was like, he could speak in Spanish as fast as he can run,
Yeah.
and then I automatically heard, that lady in the kitchen telling me to hurry.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, that one is nice. I do get that. That's just hysterical.
Yeah, and then Manny, it is cool when anybody responds to fans. That's how in sports and comics I've become biggest fans of individuals based on them just like being amazing people to their fans. I literally think that's like the coolest thing somebody can do.
So this is the newest one I got. This one just dropped. This is the Valiant, and so this is the comic book The Valiant 1 through 4 and Bloodshot Reborn 1 through 9. So you get, I mean, that's a reasonable book for $25.
Oh heck yeah!
And then, like I said, you'll never be able to see it, but they put like these nice touches, like this. Yeah, it's like a foil, like,
Ooh, like an inside cover type of thing, like a
yeah, and the back cover is the same way. Like it's almost like it's shimmery, it's shiny. It won't show up on the deal. But so that's not bad for $25. But like,
no,
look at this one. So this is the Harbinger one I got. This is
even bigger.
clearly
Yeah,
way bigger. Also just $25.
yeah, yeah.
And this is Harbinger 0 through 14. And then I guess after that they changed it to Harbinger Wars. So they gave you Harbinger Wars 1 through 4.
Nice.
It's a
So
chunk
20
of
issues,
books.
like 20
Yeah,
bucks.
it's a chunk.
And
And like
then
Exo
just yeah.
Manowar was like 18, 19 issues. So like
Are
that's
those digest size or are they regular comic size?
no, these are real size.
Whoa.
These are not printed like the no disrespect to those DC comics. I think that's actually a solid way because if you don't own Kingdom Come, something's wrong with you. You know what I mean? Like you need a copy of Kingdom Come.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
need
yeah.
a copy of Watchmen. You need a copy of V for Vendetta. So if you can get that in a little $10 banger, I think that's dope, and you should definitely do that.
Oh, for sure. And like
But
I guarantee you those compact editions. First of all, the compact editions at 9.99 are meant to get people in that maybe weren't doing it already, right? Like you are
yeah,
essentially going for the guy who doesn't have a Watchman in his collection because he probably doesn't have a collection at all. But I think it's cool,
right,
like the traveling reader, like airplanes are as popular as ever, dude. And like I get that we
yeah,
have everything on our phone, but like I don't want to read a comic book on my phone when I fly. Like, but I also don't
no,
damage. I don't want to damage any of my actual comic books either. So like
yeah,
little compact editions are so genius. Slide that in your bag, like
yeah, and it's $10. Who cares if it gets beat up a little bit?
yeah,
You love it. I
yeah,
got a copy of V for
yeah.
Vendetta that's like that. Came with my DVD. But yeah, so these books, I don't know. I just think it's great, and you got like, and it's not just nobodies. Trevor Hairsine, Lee Garbett, Barry Kitson,
Holy,
Jeff Lemire, Matt Kent, Butch Geist, Miko Swian. Like, so
those are
it's
some big
not.
names. Even now, like
Yeah,
not even old big names.
yeah. They're not nobodies, and like I haven't read anything from Valiant that I don't like
Yeah.
to the point where I am. God, I'm almost done. Or I don't even order Marvel comics anymore. Like I'm almost done ordering all of it. Like
It's
there's
all
almost nothing they put out that I'm interested in
yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
So like I was tired of I wasn't tired of spending the money. I was tired of spending the money on stuff that wasn't making me happy.
Of wasting the money more so than
Yeah,
spending.
it just wasn't making me happy, and I was like really sad for a minute, and I just started like branching out and finding other stuff, and then finding Valiant. Like just it was right where I needed it to be at just the right time. So I'm really hoping that their numbers are doing well and that they just keep up what they got going on. I know that at the end of the VEI era, they had like what most people consider to be a stark falling off in creators and storytelling. I don't know anything about that other
So,
than what opinionated people say.
so it was very interesting. I want to say I'm not going to throw any names out there. People can do their research and find
Right.
the names. Um,
Exactly.
I want to say right before 2020, uh, Valiant was run mostly by about two guys, younger guys, and guys who
Yeah,
thought
it
they
was
were shit.
Dinesh and someone else, right?
Yeah, and
Can't think of his name.
if you look at the publication history, like as things that were released, right? You
Yeah.
notice that during that time, that was when Valiant went all in on the gimmicks. 1 in 500s, shattered glass cover, like
Oh
it
yeah.
was, and yeah, and it was no longer about the books. And I felt so bad because I was a new reader to comics, so Valiant just had a bad stink on it in general. It was the laughable. It was the freaking cross gen, but like while it was happening,
Yeah.
what I'm
While it was
saying? Like
happening. Yeah.
people were like thinking they're dollar books and they just came out. Like it was like
Yeah.
you know, and I felt so bad because I read Quantum and Woody, which is a very different book than most of the Valiant universe, a little more comedy. Like it's like Booster Gold, Blue Beetle almost, really.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
but I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. The covers were cool. They did foil covers. Like I get, they were still in that gimmick phase. But God, I do think Valiant took a very long time trying to get their like their footing back together. That's all. Is that
Like
Miko
that's
Soyan? That looks like Soyan.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, dude. Valiant took a very long time to
Yep.
get the foot back in the door, and I'm just glad they're finally doing it. Right before I left Collective, I forget what his name was, but Valiant had a rep, and he was doing a lot of like what I'd call it like the legwork. He was calling comic book stores and being like, "Hey, do you have 15 minutes? I want to tell you about." And it was honestly, it was right before Valiant ran into that little bit of financial trouble where they had to stop printing. They were only printing one book a month, like one book period. Remember, like Shadow Man
Yeah.
stopped because they had.
Yeah.
So it was right during that time, and he started talking to me about Shadow Man and what was the book with the Exo Manowar, the one with the
So
awesome art
anyway.
by Liam Sharp. And I'm like,
Yes.
all right, you know what? You're making the effort first of all, like so I will make my order of 0 will now be like 3, you know.
Sure.
And you
Yeah.
and Terry bought that order of 3 turned into 1 for the shelf because you and Terry
Yep.
want, you know. And like sometimes you just have to start over, and that's what Valiant did. Like obviously the
Yeah.
universe exists and they're reprinting all the great stuff, but they kind of just had to start from scratch. Like, hey, you know, people, let's pretend people don't know us and start over.
But that's almost true, but there is still a thread that connects
Yeah,
back.
yeah,
So that because that was I was a kid, so like and I didn't have a lot of money, so all the money that I had for comics was going to like X-Men stuff. So trying to get involved in Valiant was like but I had my homie and I got to read all his Valiant stuff. And that's what got me hooked. Cause I always thought Iron Man was lame as hell. And I thought
yeah.
Exo Man was dope. Take a rich drunk dude out, put a Visigoth warrior in, and now we're talking. And don't forget the Exo stuff that had that nano bleed stuff
Yep,
like decades before Iron Man.
yeah.
So like, anyways, I'll go on about these characters because they're all rad
Yep.
because they're all a little offbeat. They're you know what I mean like I don't know. Like, so I just enjoyed it. But so you can follow a vein back to that old 90s stuff if you're an older fan. But for the most part, yeah, if you if you want to just start right now, you can. These but the and you can just roll on. You'd be better off with the VEI stuff in your knowledge base. And boy howdy are they making it cheap and I mean budget friendly ish to be able to do that as opposed to going out and hunting down like hundreds of issues. Like these things have been coming out, like I said, nonstop. I just FOC'd Quantum and Woody. Or no, Archer Armstrong, I mean. Or is it
Oh,
coming out? I can't remember.
Archer and Armstrong's a good one. I like that as well.
And then Ninjak is finally coming. So of course they tease you with some of that, but they gave you an XO first because they want to hook you. You know what I mean?
Because they want to get you. They're like, dude, you're gonna.
Yeah, and then I think that Bloodshot was like almost all Patrick Zurcher on the interiors and stuff. Man, this was phenomenal. But it was dope. I enjoyed it, and to be able to sit down for like instead of like crying over my X-Men comics, to be able to just sit down and read comics that I was. I mean, even the ones that were like, "Hey, I didn't hate this," felt like golden rays of sunshine after what I've been through lately. You know,
Yeah,
and after
yeah,
Steve Orlando.
dude.
Oh my god!
It's so funny you say it because like, first of all, I wanted to mention because you talked about creator owned. I did want to mention that DC. I don't know if people saw this
And
at
he
New York
gets it.
Comic Con. DC announced the return of Vertigo.
Yeah,
And the big thing about it is just like it's where they're going to do their creator-owned books. So they announced that Nice House on the Lake, Nice House by the Sea, the James Tynion Alvaro Martinez Bueno book is going to be the first Vertigo book. They're kind of retroactively because it was creator-owned. We all kind of should have guessed that the Nice House by the Lake was a James Tynion creation and not DC being like, oh, here, draw this, write this for us. So they're retroactively calling that the first Vertigo book of the new era. And I think I'm excited. First of all, I wouldn't be surprised if James Tynion becomes who is the equivalent of this, you know, kind of the Jim Lee, the
head of
Todd
Vertigo.
McFarlane. Yeah, the head of Vertigo in the sense of, first of all, he knows what creators want. Like he knows what they're gonna want as their rate. He knows what. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go that route.
I'm for that, but like, I mean, they. Well, no, I guess it's not the same thing. I wonder how well the Black Label books are doing because don't forget, Constantine's still in an ongoing book, and I will remind everyone that Neil says it Constantine. So if you
You're
don't say
right. You're right.
Constantine,
You're right. It's just weird,
Neil, I don't care. Neil says Constantine.
and it
If
does
the
sound.
Pope, if the, or I guess I should say the Queen, if the Queen or King of England was like, it's Constantine, I would be like, screw you. But Neil said it's Constantine, and so it's Constantine. I don't know what to tell you.
It just sounds. That's
But
like it's British, you know.
yeah,
Constantine, like it just like
yeah, it's British. It's supposed to sound British because it
yeah.
is, in fact, British.
Um, it's funny. Constantine is written amazingly by Cy Spurrier, who's I think still
Yeah,
writing that current series.
Dead in America.
Dead in America. That's one. I think that is only a 12 issue or so. So I think it's
It's almost done.
yeah.
I'm almost done with it. I don't think it's done yet, but
But
maybe.
we opened the show with this trailer, and because it's 30 seconds, I'm just gonna put it on. But this is DC's like all-in trailer. I saw Scott Snyder share this. I thought it was cool, and I'll come after we show it. I'll come back and kind of explain um, what I think. All right, I'm gonna start at the least obvious part. I think DC's all-in initiative is genius. They took what they learned from New 52, Rebirth, Dawn of DC. So essentially, they learned at New 52 that people do not want a complete retcon of everything. They do not want to start over. They learned from Rebirth that people don't want new number ones every single time. And then they learned from Dawn of DC that having jumping on points works. So what they've done with DC All In is all of the books supposedly are jumping on points during the month of October. In theory, Action Comics was a jumping on point the first week of October because it's a weekly book. Don't understand that. But I do love the fact that Nightwing's a great example. And it's not just because I love Dan Waters. Nightwing was a book that if you were not reading from the beginning of the Tom Taylor era, you were probably not going to jump in. It's confusing. A lot has happened. Weird for you to jump in at issue 120 something of, a 60.
Sure.
So now you give us all in, and Dan mentioned in our interview, they were told do not ignore the things that happened before. You are in continuity of all that. Your job is just to start a new story arc where people can come in fresh and they don't have to feel like it. It's not the MCU where it's like I didn't watch
Mhm.
the last 4 movies, so like I don't fully get it. And I think that's what comic books need. I'm not gonna lie. I think they need that every year. Every year you need to sit, and you can do it with the same creators. Tom King's still writing Wonder Woman. Chip Zdarsky's still writing Batman. But the all-in issue is a jumping on point where their directive was make this easy to jump in. And I think that's comic books need. Marvel needs to do that more often. DC, the big two need to do that more often. The independents already do it. Like that's
But
naturally.
they did do it. That's what Ultimate Comics was,
Yes.
and it failed because eventually, like what they need to learn is that nobody knows what they want, and everyone only likes what you're not giving them.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It doesn't like you really you can't win, and because of that, like
Well, and that's honestly what I think about. So like the three absolute. I'm gonna only talk about the three absolute books because like I think three more got announced at New York Comic Con. But like, so Absolute Batman on paper should not work, right? Like I look at that character design, like, and I'm just like, this is kind of weird, or like unnecessary.
I still don't understand what's in his hand, what those things are.
Dude,
I still don't understand.
I know he's got an axe. They've like made a really big deal about how he's got an axe, but like it looks like he has like these wings. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Have you seen the tank yet? The Bat
Yeah, I
monster
did
truck?
see the tank. I did see the tank. And again, like none of this should work on paper, right? Like when if I were to pitch you, hey, my Batman story is that he's this jacked guy, you know, he looks like Joey Swole out here, and he's got a tank, and like you would be like, that's why you're not
No.
a comic writer, you know, like that's why
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
like, you know, but Scott
Like
Snyder.
you need to write the Punisher, not Batman.
Yeah, yeah, and then Scott Snyder pitches in. Obviously, DC is about it, and then the book comes out, and I can't fully figure out if it's because of speculators or because people want a fresh take on Batman. But it's going for $15 on eBay, and it's sold out on all the shelves, and it's just like, okay, what happened? So then I'm going to move forward to the one that I personally semi believe in the sense I haven't read it yet, but like the pieces are there. I think Absolute Wonder Woman's gonna be cool. Again, have it that comes out this upcoming week, this Wednesday. I haven't read it, but, I doubted Kelly Thompson a lot going into Birds of Prey. I was like, "I'm gonna only read the first story arc because it's a Harley Quinn book, and then I'll probably get out." And then Kelly Thompson got me sucked in for 10 issues, 12 maybe. And then it hurt to stop buying it. I just had to cut back, you know, the baby and everything. But it hurt to not buy it anymore. And I was like, damn, Kelly really wrote a great story. So I think Kelly writing Wonder Woman is going to be great. I think the design of Wonder Woman, while being different, isn't as over the top as Batman's. So I think it's going to work. I love the idea that she rides a flying Pegasus. I don't know why, it just screams Greek mythology, Themyscira,
Yeah,
like, it's just awesome, right? Hercules
for
style.
sure.
Um, and then I don't know what to feel about Absolute Superman in the sense that Superman to me is Captain America in the sense that, like, he's interesting, but he's also boring because he's kinda just always gonna win. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Big Blue Boy Scout only goes so far.
Yeah. Well, that's
So
like I tell everybody, I've got over 30 different unique Superman shirts. I think I have like 7 or 8 issues of Action Comics. Like,
yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's just it's
comic
hard
book
to.
sucks, but the
Yeah.
lore and the idea is amazing.
Yep. So I'm in Jason Aaron, while I have not read hundreds of his books that I love. Not saying it's just my tastes and my books. Is one of the best writers in the industry. You know, he revolutionized Thor. He revolutionized. Oh God, who else did Jason Aaron do? I think he did Avengers for a long time. Like he was a big staple at Marvel for a long time.
Yeah, like, and he's still like that's still what he does is character deconstructions. Like he
Yep.
did it to the Punisher, and
Yep.
now he's doing it to Namor.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's doing Namor. Yep, that's the other one he was in. So yeah, I'm intrigued at what his Superman will look like. Intrigued is the word I'll use, right? I'm not sitting here thinking, oh my God, it's gonna be the next Red Sun. You know, like
Right.
I'm intrigued. I will pick it up. I will comfortably suggest to somebody, hey, pick up the first issue. Let me know what you think, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, man, I'm intrigued at absolute. I do not. I tell people all the time. I do not think a lot of these reactions between DC and Marvel, both in film and in comic books, are reactions. Everybody wants to say, "Oh, this is just them doing Ultimate because Ultimate Spider-Man worked out," and like to a 5% degree, probably. But like, you have to have this pitch. Scott Snyder had to have had this pitch done before Ultimate Spider-Man #1 hit shelves because that's the way creation works. You know what I'm saying? Like you're right, like, that's the way it works. So unless
Sure.
somebody at DC like has an insider at Marvel and you know they said, "Hey, we're working on Ultimate Spider-Man," you know,
That's how they used to do it all the time back in
is
the
it?
day.
Is it? Because that's what I wonder. I wonder how much is corporate secrets nowadays, and how much.
Dude, back in the day, they worked at the same building.
Yeah, I
So
know.
you literally just stand outside each other's offices and rip each other off all day. Do
Yeah,
stand and tell you they did that shit habitual that stuff
yeah.
habitually.
Yeah, so I just wonder. I wonder how much of it is a reaction to Ultimate. And to be fair, Ultimate Spider-Man's a huge hit. Ultimate Black Panther is a Black Panther book. And then I've heard that Ultimate X-Men is like a lot of people that are like it's a different book. It's like, hey, here's a bunch of new mutants. And if you wanted new mutants, here's what you got. If you wanted to see your old favorite mutants, this ain't for you at all. Like Storm May has Storm's powers, but she's a different person, you know? And it's just like, who's the somebody told me that the main character is
Armor.
Armor, armor. It's like what a I don't want. I hate to say C list, but like a C list mutant, like C list X Men. Like I don't know.
No, but for a second, she blew up though. She was gonna be. They put her in the Kitty Pride Wolverine dynamic.
I don't remember.
Claws on the armor and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, that was a while ago, and I was intrigued to see none of that make it into. Actually, that
Yeah,
might have been in
well,
one of the Demon Days books. I can't remember. That feels like forever.
that's what Peach's X-Men feels like to me is Peach Momoko's take on Demon Bear.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And
And,
like I just had enough Demon Bear. Like
yeah,
I had Demon Bear when it dropped. I had Demon Bear up to here with Demon Bear.
yeah, yeah.
Kingdom's lousy with it.
But yeah,
So I don't know. I'm not interested in any of that. I collect
yeah.
Ultimate Black Panther, and I haven't read any of it yet. But I
I've heard
just
it's good. I've
but
heard it's just a black. It's a Black Panther book. You know, like it
but it's
doesn't.
a Black Panther and Moon Knight book though
Yeah,
ish.
yeah,
So like I like what I read the solicits when I FOC it. It sounds great. I own it. I look forward to reading it. But yeah, it's obviously not knocking down any doors or anything.
yeah,
But I like
yeah.
the idea.
It's interesting. But yeah, that's so. This has been fun. Next episode, we shouldn't have to go so long because we're not going to be catching up on 4 months of stuff.
Yeah, and plus hopefully a little less kids.
Yeah,
So, but like I said, don't worry about being a dad. The first one's scary. The second one, you just have them back in the corner eating cheese. Just let them eat cheese in the corner while you do your thing. Like it'll be
So
fine. The first kid can only eat like fruit that has been picked from the Elysian fields by virgin maidens. The second kid can lick pepperoni off the floor. Like you're fine.
there you go. They got better
Yeah,
immunity when this happens.
they do. They do. They're fine.
So let me go through the schedule for the week. I should be dropping a new Flashpoint Facts, that's the interview show's name. I thought it was
Yep,
cool. I gotta take credit
it
for it.
is. I like it.
I'm gonna drop a new Flashpoint Facts on Monday and then Wednesday. I believe Monday I'm gonna drop Blue Beetle, Julio Anta, and then Wednesday I'm gonna drop Harley Quinn, Elliot Kalan. Both of those are very fun, very different episodes. Then I do want to try Friday. I'm gonna try to do the FOC show. I work until 5:30, so let's be real. That show is probably 6:30. And it will probably only be about 30 minutes because it'll only be FOC, so that way things are concise. So that'll be Friday about 6:30, might be 6:45 if traffic's bad. Then Sunday we have the Halloween comic bash at the American Legion Post 183 in Longwood, right off Fern Park. Costume contest for kids and adults, free. Costume contest will be at 10:30. That's the time we will actually put everybody out there. Free trick or treating for kids, free comic books for kids, a couple free sketches done by the Raycana guys. Comic artists including Elliot Rysett or Emily Rysett and Elias Gambit Melendez, as well as Raycana. Joel Rodriguez will be there with his Metal Ninja Studios books. And then we'll have Rise of the Phoenix there for comic and pop culture vendors, as well as Joel with a comic and pop culture booth. And then we will be selling comic books, discount trades, dollar bins. And then I do not want to forget that we will be taking donations for the comic books for troops as well. And we will match all donations on that. So we're very excited. A busy week. I don't know how I'm going to do it all, but we're really excited for that. And then next week, I'll kind of start putting out on the schedule the November show that I have that I'm doing.
That's what's up.
So it's been fun, Roy. It was good catching up. Maybe next week,
Yeah, man.
well, Nick will be in New York, but maybe we'll try to bully Nick into joining us for a little bit.
He's always saying that he's available when we're ready. So tell him we're ready.
So we'll do it. All right, Roy. Well, it was fun seeing everybody. Thank you for watching us. Manny, thank you for being here. Marvin, I will get back to you in that email. And until next time, we'll see y'all.
Imperious Rex.